What's up, people of YouTube? This is Driftor. We're bringing you guys another video to my channel, and today we are going to be doing a M40A3 versus S-Tac video. And as you guys know, there are new weapons in MWR. They're not so new by now, but if you don't have them, I thought maybe I'd make this video for anybody who is wondering exactly which gun is better. Because if you don't know, the new sniper rifle, the S-Tac Aggression, is actually really good, and it gives the M40 a run for its money. So the first gun we're going to be covering is the M40 here, and I'm going to be covering the consistency, the damage, the rate of fire, and the reload as a whole. So the first part of this gun, I'm going to talk about the damage. As you guys know, when you put on the ACOG sight, it gets a little bit better. I don't exactly know all the numbers. I'm not much of a sniper. I only use ACOG. I just use it till I get the ACOG, and then I can actually do good with the sniper rifle. I know that's kind of sad, but that's what you're going to see in this entire video is ACOG on both weapons. But more or less, the damage gets better, or the range, or something along those lines increases, making both guns slightly better when using the ACOG sight on it. But I will say that the damage on this feels, for the most part, better than it does on the S-Tac, which in turn makes the consistency more reliable. It's a more reliable gun, in my opinion. I feel like when I use it, I'm getting more one-shot kills in different areas of the body than I am with the other weapon. And it's a really well-rounded weapon, and I think that I have had more luck with this weapon as just a casual sniper player, because I don't use the sniper rifles very often. I feel like I have done a much better job with the M40 than the S-Tac, or maybe not a much better job, but it just feels more reliable that I can turn to the M40, and more than likely I'll do better with that than I will the S-Tac. So the rate of fire is the next thing. I think the rate of fire is slightly better on the M40A3, almost the same. I don't think that makes much of a difference, but for those people out there who do care when it comes to sniper rifles, I do think that the M40 is just a little bit better. But the downside of that is it has less bullets than the S-Tac. So once again, if the S-Tac having more bullets is a bigger deal for you, then I would recommend using that over the M40. The S-Tac has 7 bullets and the M40 has 5, I believe. So when using those guns, you know, if you're going for feeds, or maybe you're just really inaccurate and you miss a lot of shots, maybe that's something that you should take into effect. I do think that the reload time on the M40 is just slightly better as well than the S-Tac, only because one, it has 5 bullets, and you can just put 1 bullet in, and then you can rechamber and shoot right away. You don't have to put all of the rounds in or anything like that, or a whole clip and then start shooting, since it is just kind of 1 bullet at a time. That is something that you can do, and that is a big advantage when it comes to using this sniper rifle in a lot of ways. Also, the other thing is I feel like the M40 might have like a little bit more mobility. It doesn't take up as much of the screen, it feels like. It just doesn't seem as big, and I wouldn't say it's more smooth, because I feel like the S-Tac is a really smooth working weapon, but it has a lot of weird, like, the M40 has a lot of, like, different, it feels different when you're using it. It doesn't feel so clunky, and like you're not, it doesn't feel like it's blocking your screen as much as the S-Tac does, even with the ACOG sight. And I think that the ACOG sight on the M40 is more zoomed in, or like it's bigger on your screen than it is with the S-Tac, which I like that a lot more about the M40, honestly. I wish that was the same on the S-Tac. When I first unlocked the ACOG sight for the S-Tac, and I had already been using the M40 a lot, I was really thrown off by the fact that I could not see as clearly as I could before, and I was like, why am I having such a hard time hitting people with this? Just straight up missing shots. And I think that was the biggest reason, is the sight seems to be smaller. You get less zoom on the ACOG sight, which is maybe how it should be, but that's how it is from my perspective when playing this. And that's the only real differences that I notice from the M40 to the S-Tac. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into talking about the S-Tac specifically, and then I'll go ahead and give you guys my final verdict of this gun. Which one do I think is better? Which one performs better under what circumstances? I did a lot of my playing on Beach Bog. As you can see, this entire game so far, and probably the entire video, will be Beach Bog gameplay, because that was when I was recording the most, and it just worked out. I was recording specifically for this video, and that's how I got the most gameplay, so I hope you guys don't mind that too much. Now, let's go ahead and get into the S-Tac. So the S-Tac, in terms of consistency, damage, rate of fire, and reload, is pretty different, but in very subtle ways from the M40. I kind of covered it a little bit when I was talking about the M40, but the first thing I would like to talk about is going to be, of course, the damage. The damage of this weapon, when you're not using the ACOG scope, I think makes it almost not even worth using. It was kind of a struggle for me for a while trying to get to that 100 kills. Once again, I am not a sniper. I am not in phase. I am not somebody who uses sniper rifles often. I probably have used more sniper rifles in MWR than I have in the past 3 Call of Duties combined, honestly, just because they're smooth and they're pretty easy to use. But the damage with the S-Tac is very unreliable, and it just feels really wonky and weird when you're using a regular scope. So keep that in mind if you don't like using the ACOG at all. That's an issue that I'm running into. Maybe it's different for you guys. Maybe you guys are better at aiming, but that's how I personally see it. Now, once I put on the ACOG sight, it gets drastically better. Drastically better. Not, you know, fixing the problem better necessarily, but it's a lot better, a lot more reliable, and I feel like this is the way to go with the S-Tac and pretty much any other sniper rifle. I like the R700 with an ACOG. I like the Barrett with an ACOG. All the sniper rifles in the game besides the 2 semi-automatic ones, I really like with the ACOG. That's just my personal opinion, and I feel like it makes them feel like better weapons as a whole because that's just how I play. Now, consistency with this gun is really hit and miss. I think that I do get more hit markers with this than I do the M40, but with the ACOG, it's not so bad. Like, it's not much different than the M40, and there's other factors that come into play that make this gun not quite as reliable at times than just the damage itself that affect its consistency. So one of the next things I'm going to talk about here is the rate of fire. The rate of fire is a little bit slower than the M40, I believe, but it does not really affect me when I'm playing because I'm not necessarily going for feeds. I have noticed that there have been a couple times where I was just really on a roll. I was hitting them. I was hitting them in their spawns. You might even see it a little bit in this gameplay here. And that rate of fire, if it was just a little bit better, I might have been able to piece together a few more kills. But outside of that, from somebody who just uses sniper rifles when I'm bored of using ARs or SMGs, that's not so much of an issue. So if you guys watching this are wondering from that perspective, I would definitely recommend this as a good gun to use if you're just looking for casual play. The reload time on this gun is a little bit slower as well, but it's not bad at all. I don't think it does not hinder me to be able to get kills. I don't really find myself in situations where my reloading is really a big issue, honestly. Now, the number one issue that I have with this gun is just something feels off. I don't know if it's the numbers. I don't know what it is behind all of the game's mechanics, but something about this gun is just kind of weird. The ACOG being such a smaller scope is probably part of it, and then also it just feels like it's not as reliable. If I had to give it a number, I feel like 9 times out of 10 I'm getting a one-hit kill with the M40, and then with the S-Tac I feel like it's like 7.5 or 7 times out of 10 I'm getting a one-hit kill with the S-Tac, which isn't too bad, you know, especially as somebody who's just casually using a sniper rifle. It's not the worst thing in the world, but definitely would be nice if it was better. Overall, I feel like this gun is it's epic, right? It looks beautiful. I think it is the sexiest looking sniper rifle in the game, 100%. Camos look really, really well on it. The little kits that come with the guns, you know, from supply drops and stuff, I think those look fantastic on this gun. I think it is a beautiful looking gun. It's a hybrid of the MSR and intervention kind of. It sounds good all the way around. I think this is a very good gun, and I think it gives the M40 a run for its money, but I don't think that it quite takes the cake. There's something about the way the gun looks on your screen. For me personally, it kind of throws me off. It looks bigger than what it should be. And maybe that's just because I'm not used to using sniper rifles. I feel like it looks a lot like the Intervention, and the Intervention is a really long, awkwardly shaped gun, and I feel like that's probably part of it. For people who are used to that, this might not be so much of an issue, but for me personally, I was affected by it, and I think that the more that you play with it, the easier it gets, especially when you're used to using things like the intervention from MW2 or even IW. You'll probably be more equipped to deal with that once you start playing the game and get this sniper rifle unlocked. Overall, I think if you like using sniper rifles to try and do like montages and stuff, the M40 is probably going to be your go-to gun still. But if you just want to use a variety of sniper rifles and that you just want to have fun with, you know, unlock camos, you just want to go with what one looks prettier but it's still good, the S-Tac is definitely the way to go. I think that it's a very pretty gun. And it looks cool, it looks good, and as long as you're not trying to get montage clips, which you can still do with this gun, but a more reliable weapon would probably be the M40. Plus the 7 rounds in this weapon is really nice too. So, I mean, it's a pretty even split. I would say that the M40 still has the slight advantage. But other than that, that's all I really have for you guys today in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces.